Hello, pilots, and welcome back to the channel. Plasma 1945 here, and this is a large force employment. Now, we have an assault heading for the Iranian territory. The assault will be coming from blue bases, and the main targets are the warehouse sections here in the port of Havadria. Now, only certain bunkers are to be hit by the blue forces. Other bunkers contain equipment and medical supplies for which the people of this territory are not going to be happy if they're destroyed. So those are the primary targets. The secondary set of targets are over by the airbase at Bandar Abbas. And here we have a set of ground bunkers which also need to be hit by the blue forces to be successful. Now, this is part 2 of the mission. Part 1 was flown about 2 weeks ago, and here the air support has been limited. There's limited weapons for the Red Force, limited aircraft, as well as the SAM sites have been damaged. Really, the only remaining SAM site of any consequence is this SA-3 S-125 site near the airbase and some short-range SAM systems. Beyond that, the S-200 system that is further up and the other SA-2 systems have been hit hard. Now, the Blue Force is mustering out of, what is this? We've got, I think this is the Al Minhad Air Force Base with a mix of F-18s and F-16s. They'll be coming in to do the first strike package, doing suppression of air defenses, both in F-18s and F-16s. On the other side, we have the Red Force, which is fairly limited here, but it is mainly consisting of flankers and some AI-driven Tomcats. We got those to help us out. Now, as you can see here at the airbase over further south is the airbase where we have our other NATO fighters, and I'm hopping into an Su-27 along with Aaron and Squid. We are the main defensive force in Iran. Now, to help us out, we do have some Tomcats. These are flown by the Iranian forces, and these Tomcats are going to help us out, but we can't really count on them because, well, good luck AI against real pilots. It's always a challenge. So Aaron is hopping into an Su-33, loading up as the AI F-14s are taxiing down the runway. Now, because we are trying to make this somewhat realistic, well, these aircraft have fairly limited weapons. The enemy F-14s, only 2 of them carry Sparrows, and there's one in the back who has 4 Phoenixes and Sparrows as well. The mission was set up in such a fashion that the Red Force is also limited with only enough rockets of long-range AK or long-range A-to-A air-to-air missiles that are available, but beyond that, you probably have enough for 1 or 2 sorties. Other air bases close to the front have even less ammunition. So we've got Squid, Wyvern, and Plasma here. We've got Aaron in an Su-33 as we start to get ready for this fight. The Blue Force has lost an AWACS during the last mission. That was their frontline AWACS. They do have one in the backfield, which is providing them coordination and data link, but their main forces are going to be having somewhat limited coverage because in the last flight, we were able to knock out their frontline AWACS. Our opponents are the mighty 404th Squadron and the Raiders. And, well, the 404, we've got Aria pulling out real quick here. He's got a couple of JDAMS, and he's got some AIM 120s on his aircraft as he taxis out. The rest of the squad will be pulling up behind him. Mixed Mage and Zaphod here are set up for seed, with Harms and Zaphod's doing air-to-air coverage in the Hornets. So based on what I'm seeing here, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 aircraft on the blue side coming out of Al Minhad. And we have one F-15 out of the Southern Air Base, which is Al Dafra. So it's a fairly significant challenge. During the last flight, we had about double the number of aircraft in the last mission. And of course, this mission will be available for a flight for those who wanted to give it a try themselves. Now, this is hosted on the Fox3 Managed Solution server, which allows us to have up to 64 pilots flying. And that's the beauty of having a hosted server because, well, you can create your missions and then fly them as a group. Here goes another Tomcat, wings folded, going for takeoff. And we're getting ready into our defensive position here. With that Tomcat departing, let's take a look at Squid here. It's pulling up next to Aaron and the Red Star liveries. He's not bringing any jammers. He rolls off the runway. Come on, Squid. Get back onto the runway here, buddy. This totally didn't happen. Nobody saw this. But the flankers are fine. And Squid is loaded with 4 27 ERs, 2 ETs, and R-73 missiles. So we've got 3 AI flankers and, 3 AI Tomcats and 4 flankers standing up against a good dozen Blue Force aircraft. They've also got a couple of refuelers up in the air that they could use on the blue side, as well as there's some refuelers for the red side. And the red AWACS remains active. The E3 is patrolling right above the Al Minhad Air Base, and he is very well protected by a Patriot air system down there. So Al Minhad is fairly well protected. It's got a Patriot system with some close-in support as well around it. There's Dice pulling out with a Jdam and some AIM-9Xs and AIM-120s. Targeting pod, so he is ready for a ground strike. In typical Red Star fashion, Aaron is forming up on Squid. There's Squid in the air, heading south to our designated defense positions. We also have Saffron that just hopped in his Tomcat. And he does have access to a few more Phoenixes, so hopefully he can bring in something to bear against the massive fleet of the Blue Force that's coming in. Yours truly, Plasma and Wyvern are also in the air. 2 flankers on their way in. So 4 flankers airborne, and we've got 2 Tomcats in the front. We're going to start patrolling. And look at that. Here's the main strike force. Let's take a look at these guys here. Beautiful arrangement. Just getting ready to taxi out and get themselves organized. This is the 404 Strike Force. With the F-18s mixing in as well. Let's watch the takeoff. And there goes Raiders Viper going airborne and heading in. Next up, we've got Saffron on the right. And he's got a wingman with him. And off they go again. Their job is to suppress any remaining SAM threats and to provide air support for the strike force of the F-16s. Oh. Looks like Zaffet got caught in the jet wash from Mix Mage. But they're all right, folks. All right. Meanwhile, on the ground, we still have Aria with Dice, Candid, and Adler. Adler was a little bit late getting loaded up. Bringing the standard loadout, maximum fuel, as well as he's got a couple of JDAMS, non-penetrators. And he's off to join the rest of the squad. Meanwhile, Lex is back here, loading up JDAMs and some very big bombs on him. Laser guided, and looks like two LGBs, one LGB, and 4 JDAMs. Some glorious footage for you guys of Squid here and Aaron in formation. The most senior and most elite pilots of Red Star, and they're going to show their chops as they're going to take on the superior force of the NATO Blue Force F-16s, F-18s. They're the tip of the spear, forming up nicely and heading into the combat zone. Now, Squid elected to bring extra R-73s, whereas Aaron went for having jammers on his aircraft. Yours truly, Plasma, is bringing up the rear in red 28 without the classic Red Star livery, and Wyvern's in trail. And Wyvern has a special mission. He will be trying to get behind the enemies and take out their radar. In the front, we've got Boomer. And I believe Mix Mage. No, it's Zaphod and Mix Mage in the F-18s. And further ahead, it's Boomer and Viper. Their job is to engage us and stop the red force, clear the path for the blue force to break through and carry out some serious damage to the target zones. And still further in trail, the 404 have taken off and are coming in a beautiful four-ship formation to carry out their primary strike. And we totally didn't see Lexi drive off the taxiway. But let's watch his takeoff here. There's the roar of the F-15. And the Strike Eagle is on its way. He needs all the runway he can get. He is heavy. You can do it. There it is. Airborne. Gear up. And he's on his way in. Aaron and Squid are big chilling as they head in, and by this point we definitely see the enemies coming in. Squid starts a right-hand offset as Aaron maintained course with myself and Wyvern bringing up the rear. The Red Force Tomcats, the AI, these guys are brave, but they're limited. They've only got 2 Fox 1s, 2 Sparrows, and some Sidewinders. Trying to do their very best, but it will definitely be a challenge for them as they pick up the enemy aircraft and are heading in to intercept the first wave. Meanwhile, we've got additional 404 pilots getting ready to fly. And I forgot to change the livery, so yes, unless they change it themselves, they're flying as Plasma. Now, this mission was custom designed and built out. So, for example, there are limited weapons at the frontline air bases for the Blue and Red Force. It does have slots for something like a Harrier or an A-10 flying out of Kasab, if that is so desired. All right, the Tomcats are going in, pushing hard. They are brave. They are brave, but the question is, what will they be able to do? An AIM-120 has been launched on the lead Tomcat. Once the missile goes pitbull, he will be in trouble, and he takes the hit. First Tomcat flown by the AI is knocked out, and the 3-ship Plasma, Aaron, and Squid are lining up. One of the Tomcats has fired a Phoenix missile. This missile is on its way downrange. Boomer sends another 120 at the second AI Tomcat. We can see him conning in the distance. Unless this Tomcat does something, he will be in some serious trouble. The first one got hit by the AIM-120. Now this one is heading straight for this Tomcat. He's not defending. And second Tomcat has been shot down by the Blue Force. Surprisingly, he is still flying. He hasn't bailed out. But he is in a lot of trouble. But the Tomcats have done their job. As Boomer is looking for this Tomcat, he is distracted. He's still on data link. But this gave a brief moment of distraction for the Blue Force. In the back, Mixed Mage is coming in with harms. While Aaron and Squid have sent their first R-27 ER missiles on the lead aircraft from the Blue Force, forcing the Blue guys to defend and pull back. AIM-120 fired back at Squid. The missile is definitely seeing Squid and starts tracking him. We can see Squid contrailing. The big question is, will Squid defend on time as the missile goes pitbull? Squid's going defensive, deploying countermeasures. And he successfully defeats the missile by doing a 180 turn. Aaron's up next. And I'm coming up in the back. So far, it's a 3v3 with an additional force of the 404 F-16s in the back. All right, Boomer launches an AIM-120, this time at Aaron, as Aaron tries to close the distance. Aaron has fired his AIM-120 at Mixed Mage. Mixed Mage has done his job. He has launched his harms, but let's watch this AIM-120 as it's tracking very aggressively for Aaron. The missile tries to pull lead. Another AIM-120 on Aaron. Aaron returns on R-27. Now it's my turn to pitch in and take some shots. Double ET launch by yours truly, Plasma on Viper, as Viper heads in. First hit as the ET takes out the first Blue Force aircraft. Some flares would have definitely helped. This gives us time to regroup. One of the blue force has been knocked out. Aaron turns in on Boomer. SU-33 in Afterburner. Aaron fires an R-27R on Boomer. Boomer has already sent back a 120 at Aaron. The question is, can Aaron defend? Aaron goes cold, defends hard, and he's all right. Boomer pulls away and starts to descend. He's got an ET right behind him, chasing him down. But he's okay. The airspace has been cleared up with only Boomer remaining in the air. And at this time, Boomer's harms are heading in towards the SAM sites protecting the Bandar Abbas airbase. Plasma's in hot, and I launch an R-27 at the group of the 404 strike aircraft that are coming in. The idea here is to break up their ranks and formations, which works out as their aircraft start to split off and defend. Boomer launches another AIM-120 at Squid. From much closer distance, Squid is caught up high in the air. Squid sends an R-27 at the F-16s from the 404th. Goes defensive. The AIM-120 is pulling. Classic flanker maneuver using the energy to break the lock of that missile. At this point, it's time to go cold and run. We've done enough damage here. Caused quite a bit of confusion. Aaron sends a 27R. But Adler is quick and he goes defensive. Aaron sends another R-27. This time it's an ET and it's looking for Boomer. The Boomer has no idea that the silent missile's heading for him, and Boomer gets splashed. 2 blue aircraft down. The red force is retreating as additional aircraft from the blue force join up and reform. In the backfield, meantime, Wyvern has repositioned himself to the very east, and he's landing at Bandar Abbas. His job is to take out the enemy AWACS. The red force is running cold because there's only a limited number of lives here. You can only fly 2 primary aircraft, whether it's an Su-27 or a MiG-29. Beyond that, if you want to fly another aircraft, you're flying an F-5 or a MiG-21. Now we've got 5 blue aircraft chasing the 3 of us, while Wyvern gets through the defense net and lands at Bandar Abbas. With Aria on my 6, it is the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few, and I believe I've got a shot here. Aria gets close. He is tracking me. He knows I'm turning in for him, and he's got a present for me. AIM-120 from Aria. I fire back my 27 ER, but it's not going to do much. This was a last stand maneuver as I'm defending down below. I'm hoping to put the missile in a notch. And yours truly, Plasma, is down. But this bought a bit of time for Aria to get pushed back and for Aaron and Squid to be able to RTB. In the meantime, Wyvern is coming in for a landing at Bandar Abbas. He has not been identified, and he can land here to refuel before he takes off again. And goes for the Blue Force AWACS. The Blue Force have AIM 120s. And, oh, there we go. He's coming in for a landing. Right gear is shot. The wheel's been popped. Rough landing, but well done. Wyvern successfully touched down, fully loaded with weapons, because this airbase has no weapons, but it does have at least fuel. Additional harms are being launched by the Blue Force towards the Red airbase. Aria is flying over the Kestrim airbase with Adler and Candid rearming and repositioning themselves. My apologies, to head on in. Further to the south, Viper's already back in another F-16 loaded up with AIM 120s. Boomer, Raganeer, and Aralu are also loading up for air-to-air. And Boomer's back in as well. Lexi's pushing in hard. And Aaron is coming in on final. He's got no missiles left. He's got a splash to his name as he heads in for the straight-in landing. At Bandar Abbas. Typical Red Star fashion, pops his gear at the last second. And there's a good landing. This harm is on its way towards targets as it flies almost in formation parallel to Squid, as Squid is making his own landing happen. Meanwhile, yours truly, Plasma, has chosen to go into a MiG-29 because that is the only aircraft available at the frontline bases instead of taking a flanker out the backfield to provide coverage. The harm is coming in and takes out one of the search radars for the SA-3 site. Squid is in on final approach. Meanwhile, Aria deploys his JDAMS towards the secondary target at the port. The port does not have major SAMs, but it does have some short-range air defenses. It does have an SA-15. This JDAM is looking good. And there's the first hit. And here's another JDAM taking a second port building. Now, only 5 out of all those port buildings need to be hit. Dice comes in right behind him. He's got his own JDAMs. He didn't get slowed down much. Meanwhile, we have Saffron coming out of the backfield in his Tomcat. There's nothing wrong with being a little late. Due to the limited missiles available at this airbase, I'm bringing 1 ET, 1 ER, and 4 R-77s on the MiG-29A. And line up for takeoff. At this point, additional bombs are heading down for the port. Looks like a miscalculation on Dice's part. He releases a bomb on the same target. Candid also drops a bomb. Jdam is tracking. And another port building has been leveled. Now, that was a wrong building to hit, as a number of video cards and children's toys were stored at that warehouse. In the backfield, 4 Phoenixes are out from Saffron as he launches them towards the Blue Force aircraft and goes on the defensive. He still has way more Phoenixes. He's looking for his targets. But Dice is on his way out of the airspace. Plasma flying low, looking for targets. But remember, no data link. The site SAMs have gone active, and they're picked up Candid at the port. Candid's belly is right towards the ground. He's got no RWR notification. At the last second, he figures out that there's something coming and he gets hit. We've got some Phoenixes that have gone to space and they're definitely not tracking anything useful. Meanwhile, Mixed Mage has managed to land at Kasab, where he can rearm and refuel for another sortie. Lex is coming in the back with a super heavy loadout on his F-15. Dice still has 1 JDAM as he makes a run towards the port, wanting to finish off the job. And yours truly, Plasma, is blind and stupid in his MiG-29 because there is no data link. And the bogey dopes are not helping. Dice drops a GBU-31 on the JDAM from well outside of the SAM defense range, as Saffron fires 2 additional Phoenixes. Dice is up ahead. He's running cold. He's done his job. Now it's his job to get out of there and survive. Again, limited number of lives, limited number of airframes. Going full gate in the MiG-29. I'm looking and hoping for some success as I accelerate and give Dice chase. Saffron is right there with me. He's got 1 Phoenix left. And he's looking for Lex in his F-15 Eagle. Phoenix away from Saffron, flying in an almost flat trajectory. It's a close range shot. And the Eagle does not appear to be paying attention. Hit by the Phoenix, the Eagle is down, and Saffron pulls back to go cold. Aria turns hot, fires an aim 120 at Plasma. That missile is looking for me as I desperately fire a 27R, just as the 120 goes active on me. Missile still has speed. It's closing in. And I defeat the AIM 120 while my 27 ET catches up and takes out Aria. Only Dice has made it back, and Boomer have made it. Mixed Mage have made it back from that sortie. Viper is bringing up the rear. And Saffron is going for an RTB back to base. Meanwhile, at Bandar Abbas, Aaron and Squid are rearming and getting ready for takeoff. The airspace still looks good. And Wyvern, the Dark Horse, has taken off from Bandar Ejask and is sneaking in towards the enemy base. His target is the AWACS. If the AWACS, the E3, can be knocked out, this will guarantee that we can operate with some level of chance of survival, I think is the right term here. Over at Bandar Abbas, Squid, still on his first aircraft and first life, takes off. He's got missiles, he's reloaded, and he's on his way in. Meanwhile, Aaron, Su-33, is right behind him, but he did not attach any short-range missiles. It's all big sticks for him. With Viper coming up behind me, fast and furious, firing AIM 120, Squid fires an R-27R, hoping to push Viper out of his position so that he has to break chase. Viper is furious, launching one AIM 120 after another, dropping his tanks, and goes cold. The salvo of AIM 120s is heading in. I start doing a crank. Viper's AIM 120 picks me up, heads straight down for me. But that turn has cost the missile all of its kinetic energy, and it's somewhat flopping around. Unless I explicitly turn into the missile, I should be all right. That was more luck for yours truly, Plasma, than anything else. The rest of the AIM-120s have lost track, and although it looks like one might be tracking Aaron. Indeed, Aaron goes defensive and avoids one of the missiles on him. Squid continues to press, and Saffron has just come in for one of his best landings that we didn't see, but comes down beautifully smooth at the airbase and goes for a full rearm. As I'm out of fuel, but still have some missiles, I have to land at the nearest airbase for a rearm and refuel. Viper fires off last couple of missiles and RTBs. Now, we still have an AI Tomcat way out on the backfield, and he decides to fire some Phoenixes. The 404 Squadron is getting back in the air. They have additional lives. Adler, Candid, back at Al Minhad, getting ready for takeoff. Aria and Aralu as well. And Zaphod, back in the air in the F-18. Meanwhile, Wyvern is performing a flank on the mission all by himself, very far away. Dice is airborne, trying to deconflict and achieve a landing. Boomer's coming in hot. With his brakes extended, this is one of the most important things to keep in mind. Make sure you close your air brakes when you're flying, especially after you've landed. I've seen way too many F-16 pilots do this. So Boomer is heading in here to take on the Red Force, but he forgot to close his air brakes when he landed. Always have it as part of your checklist. Viper's looking for a landing, and so is Dice as they're eyeing Kasab for a base to land. The Tomcat becomes very interested in launching at something, firing a Phoenix into space, and we'll keep an eye on that Phoenix as it heads in. All right, yours truly, Plasma. MiG-29 landing. Coming down and touching down at just below 170 knots. A little bump. Landing gear looks good. And I say, if you can land a MiG-29 or a MiG-21, my hat's off to you. In this case, I managed to not break any part of my airplane. Aaron sees Boomer, and Boomer sees Aaron. Boomer is still flying with his air brakes out. He's probably wondering why his airplane's so slow. This Phoenix missile has turned into a ballistic weapon going into space. And an AIM 120 is now on Aaron. The missile definitely sees Aaron. He cranks down for a defense. Kicks in the afterburners. And the missile's out of energy. Now, Wyvern is coming around the back, and Zaphod has picked him up. Zaphod knows there's trouble as he accelerates towards Wyvern, who's flying higher and faster above him. But Zaphod's job is to prevent an attack on the back of the Blue Force base. Wyvern has limited AWACS coverage, or almost no AWACS coverage, so he'll only know he was shot on when Zaphod's missile is on its way towards him. Wyvern heads down to the deck, defending the AIM-120, getting almost right down to the ground as he goes cold. Offsets low and goes behind the mountains. He turns in hot. The AIM-120 is still tracking him. Picks up altitude. And fires an ET at Zaffod. Zaffod returns back an AIM-120. The AIM-120 follows Wyvern, who defends and pulls into a mountain, surviving that. Splash one for Wyvern, and now he can resume hunting for the AWACS. Meanwhile, Boomer, Squid, and Aaron are mixed into a tough fight here. Boomer still flying with his air brakes extended. Aaron sends a 27R on Boomer. Boomer does a perfect 180, goes cold. And Aaron pulls back. Meanwhile, Kasab Viper is reloading for air-to-air. And Dice is still on patrol here. Squid and Aria push back. Raganeer is coming in his F-16 that he's wearing a Red Star livery, but that's okay. That's Plasma's fault for setting this up like this. He's got AIM-120s ready for air-to-air. Squid spots Raganeer coming in the F-16. And Aaron fires out an R-27R, with Raganeer returning an AIM-120 in their direction. But this missile is on Squid, but Aaron is getting pressed by Boomer from the other side. Squid performs a high-energy defense and outruns the missile. 27T tracks and takes out Boomer and his air brakes. Can Aaron survive the AIM-120? Aaron gets hit by Boomer's AIM-120 in return. Second loss for the Red Force defenders as Viper gets airborne and heads in for revenge. In the meanwhile, a task force of F-16 takes off with Adler and Aria with JDAMS as they head in. And some laser-guided bombs as well. Aralu's bringing up the rear, doing air-to-air. And Mixed Mage loaded up with JDAMS. Loses track of Wyvern and decides to go cold. Lex goes full air-to-air and brings up the rear. Saffron back in the game in the Tomcat, fired off 2 Phoenixes. Hoping for a lucky shot. But the problem with the Phoenixes, unless you're guiding them, if they don't lose track, you're in trouble. Squid starting to run low on fuel. Turning back in. Looking for Raganeer. And Raganeer definitely sees him diving down from altitude. No tanks on his aircraft anymore. Fires a very fast AIM-120 on Squid. Squid tries to return the favor. And Squid grounds the missile as he pulls away cold. Viper's aim 120 on Saffron. Tracking, but not going to catch up to him, as multiple Phoenixes are in the air. Now, I wish I was in the air, but I was struggling getting rearmed and refueled at this airbase. And of course, there's no Fox 1s here, just R-73s, only 2 of them, R-60s, because this airbase is mainly F-5s and MiG-21s. Ragadir keeps pressing. He's looking for Squid. He's down to 3 missiles. Squid has to land. Candid, meanwhile, breaks all the way to the front. Bringing JDAMS, bringing AIM 120s. Squid spots Ragadir coming around the corner. Ragadir didn't see him. Squid has a chance. And no hesitation. Fox 2 out on Ragadir. Ragadir is fast. Saffron sends an AIM 120 on Ragadir as well. The Phoenix at this low altitude doesn't have the legs to catch up to him. Squid tries to go in for a landing again. Gear down. And Ragadir is right next to him. Completely running out of fuel, Squid sends his last missiles on Ragadir, hoping something will catch up to him. There's no chance for Squid as he crashes. And the R-27ET is flying in formation with Ragadir, as he pulls away just in time before that missile does not explode. Tough call for Squid, as now Candid is pushing in hot, firing AIM 120s, targeting Saffron. All right, Candid is looking for his splash here. Saffron is running away at full speed, and Candid is on his 6 o'clock, pressing hard. Meanwhile, yours truly, Plasma, is still at the runway eating glue, trying to figure out why my extra fuel is not loading. I probably should have just taken off right here to intercept Viper and Ragadir, but no. All right, here comes Candid. He's got Saffron on the nose. There's a hit. Saffron has taken an AIM 120 from Candid. He's flying, but he is out of there. Saffron's trying to recover his aircraft, doing his very best. But not much luck is happening. Saffron loses his second airframe, and he is done. In the meantime, Wyvern was trying to chase down the E3 and unfortunately got shot down by the SAM battery over at the main airbase at Al Minhad. All right, meantime, Squid is on his second aircraft along with Aaron. Squid is in a MiG-29A, the Serbian Classic. And we've got Aaron arming up as well. This airbase, it has very limited weapons, so they really have to account for what weapons they bring in. Ragnar still in the plasma livery. RT being back with 3 missiles. And he's got his air brakes out. Forming up on Adler. And on Aria. Now Aria is coming back. He's got his gear down. Dice is waiting for the rest of the 404 squadron. Ragnar turns in and heads for Kasab Air Base. Nice clean landing. Aria is right behind him. Aria is repositioning his aircraft to the Kasab Air Base. This way he can take off for another strike, but he will wait for the rest of his crew to be in the air. And there you go, there's a second aircraft, and that is Adler. Both him and Aria are on final, coming into Kasab to top up their fuel and basically reposition. All right, let's watch Aria coming in for a nice clean landing in the F-16. He is very heavy. He's carrying 2 JDAMs, skirting right above the trees. Very dangerous. Is he going to touch down? Touches down just short of the runway, but survives. This airplane is going to need a repair. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, and Aria hits the runway marker. All right, meanwhile, Adler and Ragnar have successfully landed. Aria came a little too fast and a little too aggressive, but that's a great landing by the rest of the 404. So at this point, the 404 are repositioned and they are stationed back at the Kasab Air Base, one of the frontline bases. Only A-10 aircraft or Harriers are available here, and they're getting ready for that. Lex Python is coming back in his F-15. Pure air-to-air loadout. 31st Viper is patrolling. No fuel tanks left. And they're waiting for the rest of their aircraft to spool up and get into the airspace. Mixed Mage looks like he's come back to his home base with his JDAMs strapped to his F-18. While Falcon is coming in to do cap from the back air bases. Now Candid is over the target area, looking for opportunities to deploy his JDAMs. Beautiful JDAM drop. Let's watch that bomb go all the way down. And there's a second drop from Candid. 2 bombs away as the 404 drops JDAMs on the secondary target at the port. Now it's important to remember only 5 of the bunkers at the port, 5 are with appropriate targets. 1 gets shot down by a Tor missile, and another bunker gets destroyed. And a truck falls into the ocean. Very impressive. Quite a bit of collateral damage there. Truck's in the water, and the SA-15 was able to stop one of the JDAMs. Canada's pushing for an RTB, and Saffron has landed back. No, Saffron's taking off in a MiG-21. Now, Saffron has used up 2 of his lives, so now he has to switch to Gen 3 aircraft. So he can have either an F-5 or a MiG-21. He likes to go for a MiG-21 with R-60 missiles. Good clean takeoff, and he's airborne. Yours truly, Plasma is still chilling And I don't know what I was doing. I was probably sniffing glue here. Aaron and Squid are up in the air. There's only one Su-33 and MiG-29s at Bandar Abbas. Aaron has to act as an air traffic controller for the other aircraft. He's got data link. Nobody else on the red team has data link at this point. The rest of the 404 are waiting out, rearming and refueling before they take off again. And Squid decides to pitch in and take on 31st Viper, who spots Wyvern in front of him and decides to press. Wyvern is blasting across, trying to get to that AWACS. But this time Viper is on his 6 o'clock, with Viper now pushing Mach 1.6 and continuing to accelerate. Fox3 launch. The missile is fast. Tail aspect. Wyvern thinks he can outrun the missile. And it hits. MiG-29 is down. At the same time, Lex in his F-15 is engaging Aaron. Solid looking A-120, high and fast. Targeting Aaron. Aaron tries to return the favor with a R-27. But both aircraft look very safe. Squid wants to avenge Wyvern, and he is full afterburner, trying to chase down the hostile. Viper's running, while Lex and Aaron are tangled on the other side. Meanwhile, Plasma, yours truly is in the air. The only weapons at this airbase were short-range missiles, which means I have a lot of R-60s and one 27R. My only hope here is to push as close as I can towards the mainland in order to somehow take cover in the mountains there. Falcon fires an A-120 at Squid. Squid is very high and very fast. Puts the M120 into the F-pole, and the missile does catch up to Squid, knocking him out of the sky. Meanwhile, I'm firing an R-27R at Raganeer. He sends back an A-120 and splashes my MiG-29. Aaron does get a splash here and knocks out the F-15. And meanwhile, Saffron is still flying in circles in his MiG-21. Well, without much to do, I've hopped into an F5 because I am able to take up an F5 after I lost my 2 main lives. The only problem is the F5 only has 2 short-range missiles, and that's about it. Aaron and Ragnar exchange a Fox3 for a Fox1. The missile is close, but it can't touch Aaron as he goes cold and extends. Now Aaron is caught between a rock and a hard place as Falcon comes in and starts taking shots at him from the other direction. So now Aaron's got 2 hostiles, 1 Falcon and 1 Ragnar. The good thing is Ragnar decides to use this as an opportunity to extend and not to participate in the mess. Aaron does make the smart decision of not messing around and extends away, as Falcon is chasing him down, firing as many missiles as he possibly can. Getting almost right down to the water, Aaron pitches back in again. He still has 2 ETs, the secret weapon of the flanker, and 2 27Rs. Since a Fox1, while the M120 is heading down right on him. The missile can't keep up, and Aaron is back in the game. This time Aaron sends a 27 ET. This missile is looking for the pure heat of the enemy aircraft. It sees the target. It still has some speed, but it had to climb up heavily into the vertical and just doesn't have the range to reach this F-16 as it flies by at full speed. Falcon still has 2 missiles. And he's pressing his kill. Another Fox3 launch. The ET is useless. Missile on Aaron. Aaron's extending fast, fires another missile with an AIM-120 on his 6 o'clock. Now completely out of weapons, Aaron's only choice is to get the heck out of there. And Aaron's missile almost catches Ragnar, but not quite, as it falls in trail. Now comes a true wall of Blue Force aircraft, with Falcon and Ragnar RTBing, Dyson Adler pushing in, Mixed Mage, Zaphod, and Boomer providing air cover. So all in all, there is Aaron in the air for Red Force, and otherwise there is 2, 4, 6, 7 blue aircraft in the air pushing towards the primary target. Looks like Adler did take some damage on that heavy landing and didn't do a repair. And he's flying with one of his gear down, 2 JDAMs, and 4 AM-120s. Dice in front of him is looking clean with a similar loadout, except he's brought some short-range Fox2s just in case. Saffron in the rear with a full rack of Fox3s in the F-18, and Mixed Mage is with him, also bringing his JDAMs. Meanwhile, far up north, Saffron is taking off. The 404 heading for the primary target, fully loaded up with their JDAMs, while Aaron is trying to get back to the safety of the last SAM remaining for the Red Force, and that is the S-125 SA-3 site over at Bandar Abbas. The SA-125 picks up the 404 aircraft and starts launching SAM missiles at them. Adler, however, remains clean and pushes in for the target. One hit is scored. Can Adler survive the SA-3 missile? And he gets splashed by the air defenses around Bandar Abbas. Literally saving Aaron's life, but at a high price for the Blue Force. That last SAM site was the only thing standing because the rest of the Red Air Force is pretty much knocked out. Mixed Mage does a great drop, rippling out 4 JDAMs on his target. The SA-3 fires a missile. Mixed Mage extends, and the SA-3 is no factor. All right, amongst all this excitement, Plasma's in the air in the F5. And great hits, taking out half of the bunkers over at the Bandar Abbas Air Base by the Blue Force. Zaffet is watching the fireworks and heads in towards the Red Force AWACS. Looking to provide cover and suppress any sort of air defenses that there might be. But it's never a good idea to fly over an enemy airbase when you think there might be SAMs still down there. And there it is, an SA-125 heading for Zaffet. He's hit, and Zaffet gets splashed right above the red airbase. Aaron's waiting for his takeoff sign. Saffron's rearming, getting his second Tomcat going. And Raganeer has just taken off again, bringing 4 missiles out of Kasab, looking to score some more air victories. Flying towards Saffron, the last survivor. The missile goes active, dipping out of space at an incredible Mach 2. Saffron is descending, trying to defend, trying to go for a notch. The missile gives it a little wobble, but it's just not enough. And there's the hit. F-14 gets knocked out, and Saffron is out of the game. All right, last-ditch effort. Plasma is in the air, flying above Bandar Abbas. Trying to spot something, anything. And Viper spots me first and launches his AIM-120s. There's much to say and do in this situation because the F-5 only has short-range Fox 2 missiles. A true challenge when fighting against modern 4th-gen aircraft, unless you've got a great setup with a GCI. Falcon comes in, fires AIM-120s at me. Fast, deadly missiles raining from the sky, exploding right next to me, but I'm still alive. Second missile explodes right next to my aircraft, but does no damage. The magic power of the missile compels me to survive. Another AIM-120 looks for plasma. Explodes in the terrain right next to me. My fuselage is peppered. Wing integrity is in no condition to be useful at all. Viper is just above the clouds. I can't see him. Trying to go to the vertical. But no joy there. And how much more strain can the little aircraft take? And there goes the ripped wing and a crash. Aaron, the last man standing in the Su-33, goes up for a final revenge. No time to win this mission any longer. Two harms launched at the SA-3. One still appears to be tracking. And takes out another search radar. Aaron defends an AIM 120 from Boomer. Very successfully and pitches back in. DR is on its way. Tracking Boomer. But Boomer fires his own AIM 120 on Aaron and goes cold. Aaron pushes the missile to the gimbal and extends. Using the power of the flank to just climb right over the missile and to turn back in hot for another pass. Another ER in the air. The enemy F-16 extends. No problems there. Aaron continues to push, but it's now Dragoneer coming in. High and fast. Looking for his air-to-air kills. Now, as you can see, the Blue Force had run out of AIM 120 Bravos and have had to switch to Charlies. Aaron gets splashed. And a final missile is in the air. It's the 27T. Can the ET claim a victim? And it doesn't. With Dragoneer being the last man standing, along with Boomer in the air. The final results. Partial damage, but not fully destroyed primary target, with 3 of the 6 bunkers remaining. And at the port, still 2 bunkers standing that needed to be destroyed.